Now it's hard to even call this a joke. The White House is preparing a plan to take over Greenland. It has become known that the United States might pay up to $700 billion to buy Greenland. United States Secretary of State Marco Rubio has already been tasked with preparing the proposal and discussing it with Denmark. At the same time, Denmark is currently sending its troops to the island to protect it from United States intervention. And Donald Trump himself lashed out at Denmark and called on the country, quote, to get out of Greenland and to do it urgently. But that's not all the madness. Donald Trump called on NATO to stand united against little Denmark and for all the alliances to force this country to capitulate to the Americans and give Donald Trump Greenland. Although Trump himself finally stated what exactly he wants to do with Greenland and why this is a matter of United States national security, Trump demands that Greenland be handed over to the States for the construction of his new missile defense system, the Golden Dome, on the island. According to him, if NATO does not act immediately, the strategic island will be taken over by Russia or China. At the same time, the United States Congress already wants to legally prohibit Donald Trump from annexing this island. And get ready, in this episode there will be one or even more interesting facts. My name is Alexei Pecci. Let's discuss this topic together, but before we start, I ask you to subscribe to this channel, like the video, leave any comment under this episode, and be sure to subscribe to my Telegram channel, Pecci News. The link to it is in the description of this video. And if you find this episode useful and interesting, at the end of the episode you can support the work of this YouTube channel with your donation or by becoming a paid sponsor through the links and details provided. In the description of this video it says support Alexei Pecci's channel. Choose any format that is convenient for you. I will be grateful for any support you provide. Donald Trump is persistent about Greenland. And now National Broadcasting Company News reports that the United States could pay up to $700 billion to buy Greenland. United States Secretary of State Marco Rubio was tasked with preparing such a trade offer. And now 3 sources told the television channel that the valuation of Greenland was prepared by scientists and former American officials as part of the effort to explore President Donald Trump's desire to buy the island. Such an amount exceeds more than half of the Pentagon's annual budget and is related to national security priorities for Donald Trump. And I'll immediately give you an interesting example. Today, the Pentagon's annual budget is just over $900 billion. Yes, it's a world record, but still, $900 billion. For Greenland, they want to pay Trump about $700 billion, but I think they'll negotiate. And now let me remind you that a week earlier, Donald Trump called for developing a plan to increase the United States defense budget in the 2027 fiscal year, which will begin in October this year, to the level of $1.5 trillion. And many people were wondering, where does Donald Trump want to spend those extra $600 billion? Well, if they find them, of course, it looks like we found the answer to buying Greenland, but I want to emphasize this is just a guess. So if you add it up mathematically, it's exactly the $600 billion that Trump might want to spend on buying Greenland and include it in the United States defense budget. Because Greenland is needed for national security. But be that as it may, a high-ranking White House official has already stated that United States Secretary of State Marco Rubio has been instructed to prepare a proposal to purchase Greenland within the next week. Because this is the highest priority for Donald Trump today. Marco Rubio is expected to already be vice president. United States Vice President J.D. Vance met together with representatives from Denmark and Greenland who came to Washington specifically to better understand Donald Trump's intentions and proposals. Well, of course, no one will publicly say that negotiations are underway to buy the island, but it's also hard to rule it out. And now here's another interesting episode. In one of the previous episodes, I told you that the United States of America might not necessarily seize or even annex Greenland or buy it, but instead could sign what's called a free association pact with the island. Watch the earlier Greenland episode on this YouTube channel to see what I mean. It's an interesting topic. In short, it's when a territory is legally independent, but the issue of defense and security is entirely handled by the United States of America. So, National Broadcasting Company News is writing about this today as well. We talked about this a few days ago. As the television channel reports, such an agreement would provide for United States financial assistance in exchange for allowing an American military presence. But still, Donald Trump himself is taking an aggressive stance, and a very aggressive one at that. The United States president once again lashed out at Denmark with threats, stating that it should get out of Greenland and do so urgently. Moreover, Trump has started to put pressure on NATO regarding this issue. I'll quote Donald Trump, "NATO, tell Denmark to get out of there immediately. 2 dog sleds can't handle it. Only the United States can." Last year, Danish intelligence itself warned about Russian and Chinese plans regarding Greenland and the Arctic, so Denmark, get out of there immediately. But that's not all. Then Trump went even further, as they say. The President of the United States stated that Greenland is necessary for the United States of America to ensure national security, and in his opinion, the process of bringing it under American control should be led. No, not by Americans, but by NATO. Supposedly, Trump himself wants to seize Greenland so that it becomes part of America, but to do this not with American hands, not his own, but with the hands of the entire North Atlantic Alliance. You see the logic? I mean, I want to seize it, but let's have you pull off this scheme yourselves, and then I'll say, oh, see, I got what I wanted. Trump stated that the military power of the United States, which he says was largely formed during his first presidential term and continues to grow now, is the foundation of the North Atlantic Alliance's deterrent potential. NATO will become much more formidable and effective. After Greenland comes under United States control, anything less is unacceptable. I would like to note that Greenland is officially part of the Kingdom of Denmark. However, Trump has repeatedly stated that the island should become part of the United States of America for national security reasons, and has suggested that Washington will acquire it one way or another. The Prime Minister of Greenland, Jens Frederik Nielsen, in response, emphasized that the island intends to remain part of Denmark. His quote, "We choose NATO, the Kingdom of Denmark, and the European Union." Trump responded that the Prime Minister's remarks would have consequences. Meanwhile, United States Congress members are already proposing laws to prevent Trump from seizing Greenland. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson quickly downplayed Trump's remarks, stating that seizing Greenland by force is not being considered and that there will be no declaration of war. White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt clarified that Trump is specifically considering buying the island. Nevertheless, it has come to the point where Denmark is sending military equipment and advanced units to Greenland. First, a so-called advanced command was sent to Greenland. Its task is to prepare logistics and conditions on the ground for the arrival of the main forces in the future. The advanced units include, in particular, soldiers from army units who are supposed to strengthen the military presence of the Danish armed forces on this island. At the same time, a significant part of the Danish combat units are currently engaged in fulfilling military commitments in the Baltic countries. That's where the Russians are staging provocations, and unfortunately Denmark will have to withdraw its soldiers from the Baltic region, thereby exposing the flank to Russia. At the same time, the United Kingdom and European allies have begun discussing the possibility of deploying a NATO contingent in Greenland to persuade Washington to abandon the annexation of the island. At the same time, Trump himself has already ordered the United States Command to prepare a possible invasion plan. However, this initiative met resistance from the military, who doubted its legality. And finally, Donald Trump has clearly explained why the United States needs Greenland. The United States president stated that it is in Greenland where he plans to deploy his future missile defense project, the Golden Dome. I'll leave it at that. Subscribe to the channel, write your opinion and conclusions about this story in the comments, and don't forget to support this channel with your donation. If you found this episode useful and interesting, that's all for now. Take care. Goodbye.